Hello, everybody. This is Adam with Air Suckers Garage. As you can see, I'm not in the shop and my phone's going crazy. Because, well, I was in the shop. I came in, took a shower, and now I'm hiding in my room because, well, I don't want to be around people. So, let me tell you what happened. Had an issue. Somebody put an insert in the head, one of my heads. The insert came out with the plug. So I was going to rig out my plugs. I got this engine done, my 1776. Had a problem with the carburetor. Took the carburetors off, cleaned both of them. One of the carburetors stopped up. Carburetor still stopped up. I said, okay. I read where some people on the K-drums, what they would do was they would pinch off the balance tube, rev it up, and it would help clear out any kind of crap in there. So that's what I was gonna do. Then I went to get my plugs just to make sure I got all my bases covered. Adjusted my valves, yada yada yada. Did all that. Pulled plug out. Insert came out with a plug. Didn't know there was an insert in there. So went on the community page, asked for a little bit of help, this and that and other about the carburetor situation, and they said that. I got some good comments, some stuff I'd already done. Then I posted another thing about insert coming out. Well, I got a tool. I said I'll just get a tool. I'll chase the threads, put it back in, no problem. Well, it wouldn't do that. Well, and I got frustrated. I got real frustrated. I was about ready to use the whole engine, brand new carburetors, alternator, all this other new stuff, exhaust as a boat anchor. I was madder than a wet hen in the setting way. And if you're not from the South and don't understand that, it means I was mad. So, and I was really upset. I was start speaking tongues. And I'm not talking about religious speaking in tongues. What that means when I say that is I was about to use uh, a cornucopia of profanity. But I'm not. I was upset, ready to use that as boat anchor. I said, okay, I can deal with this. Called Vic up at Keith's Auto Parts in West Virginia. Don't remember the town, but he's in West Virginia. Good guy. You probably say, why is it called Keith Auto Parts? Well, his dad's name was Keith, who is no longer with us. And sometimes people do call him Keith, but he answers to it. Doesn't matter. But Vic's a great guy. Got a good price on a set of heads. He was going to fly cut them to 92 millimeters for me. No problem. So, come on today. Well, let me back up about the heads. And people said, put an insert in it, use a time cert. Never heard of a time cert. Did some investigating. I said, hey, these things work pretty good. This is pretty neat because you put them in there and then it flares the end out so they don't back out. Well, come to find out, that's what was in here was a time cert. And with these heads, I have put helicoils in for the intake studs, exhaust studs. I was sick of it. Got a lot of money tied up in helicoil sets. So, and these heads are EEPCO. I've mentioned this before, and EEPCO is they were back from the 80s. And when they first started making these heads, manufacturing these heads, they were good heads. And then the demand came up, so they started ramping up production. And quality control went right straight into the toilet. So, anyway, so a friend of mine, buddy's helping me build this car. They said, well, just take it to the machine shop, see if you can have them fix it. Well, I did call the machine shop. I said, nope, all we do is valves and valve guys on air cooled stuff. I said, okay. So I said, well, let me see how much that is. So, because I've already helicoiled this stuff, and if I put an insert in it, who's to say it won't pop out? Because when quality control went down the toilet, the material is porous. And I mean, and with inserts and helicoils and stuff, it doesn't matter how good of an installation it is. Matter how good the product is. The product and the installation is only good as the material that it's going into. So, you know, You can put lipstick on a pig, still a pig. So I said, okay, well, I'm going to get new heads. So I get home today and I said, okay, well, I'm going to mess around. I was having a bad day, just didn't be around anybody. My wife said, well, she said I was something. Had 7 letters. It started with this and ended with the same letters, awesome, but I assure you it wasn't awesome. I was just not in a good mood. I was fit to be tied. And I wasn't going to, when I decided to do the heads, I was tired. I was frustrated. I put all this money in this engine. The engine had less than 5,000 miles on. The engine was built in the 80s. The guy I got it from said it ran good. There wasn't anything wrong with it. I said, okay. So, and then didn't realize what the heads seemed okay because I knew what kind of heads it were and I did some research on it. Well, I said, okay, well, it's stripped out. I got all these helicoils in it. I'm not going to try to do any repair on this anymore because, well, that's just stupid. And I recognize stupid when I see it. And because, well, for one reason, I work for a local government, but that's beside the point. So, anyway, enough said there. So, get home. I said, okay. Youngest daughter's boyfriend comes over. I was in the shop, gonna be by myself. I was actually gonna do this in the shop, but I decided I need to come in, have a shower, and maybe before I go to bed, maybe take another Valium, which I have a prescription for, by the way. So anyway, so he said, "Well, let me help you." So I was gonna drain the oil. He said, "I'll hold the pan." So I drained the oil, and I saw a color that nobody likes to see. I got metal shavings in oil, probably the Barrett's. Well, just when you think it can't get any worse, it does. And I told him, I said, well, I just might have to find me a long block, maybe 1641 or 1600. I just ain't going to mess with the 1776 because it's going to cost. He said, why don't we just tear this thing down and find out what's wrong with it and fix it? I said, I don't want to because I've done so much of this thing. I'm sick of it. I'm tired of it. I just want to use it as a boat anchor. So, you know, he said, I'll tell you what, y'all are going away for the weekend. Let me come over and I'll take it apart. I've been watching all these videos. I need to get my hands dirty. They said, we're going to tear down the other engine you gave me and I'm going to rebuild it. I said, let me tear this one down. It's probably the bears. Let me figure out, I'll look at it. Let me figure out what's wrong with it and put it back together. I said, okay. And I may get another cam. It's got an AP3 cam in it. And unless you old school, you don't know what an AP3 cam is. If anybody, I guess the closest equivalent to it would be an Engel 120, and I don't know the CB numbers and all these other numbers, different cams and the MP number and all this other stuff. But it's built for high end. A lot of people say I've never heard of that cam. They still make the things, and I was happy because people said you can't make them things idle unless you crank them up to 1,300 RPMs. They won't out. Well, I did it. I had the thing running at 600 RPMs, which with K-Drons, it's not a good idea because it only runs on 2 cylinders. Until it gets some RPMs, they like 1,000 RPMs. So, but I wanted to prove a point because I'm one of these people, there's got to be a reason why something won't work, and I want to know why. So he said, let me tear it down. And I got to thinking. I said, let me think about it. I said, I'll let you know. Then I said, you know what? Tell you what, you tear it down. I showed him, I said, you're going to need this tool for this, you're going to need this tool for this. It's in this drawer, my toolbox. This toolbox over here is for Volkswagen stuff. This toolbox over here is for SAE stuff and other kind of stuff. I said, help yourself. He said, well, I'll bring my tools over. He said, specialty tools, I'll use yours. I said, whatever you want to do. So he said, I'll put everything, label everything, make sure I said, sounds good. I told him, I said, if you get stuck, can't figure it out in the video, just stop. He said, all right. So he's enthusiastic. So he got me enthusiastic because I was about done. I stripped my head out. I was about ready to scrap the whole project, entire project, car, everything. I was DUN done. Well, then I got my head out of my rear end and decided I'm not gonna do that. And then all of a sudden, I'm bleeding. No, I felt like I was bleeding. And then all of a sudden, you know, I got cracking mold. Nobody likes cracking mold. So, first of all, you don't take somebody's word for it. If I buy a long block, you really don't know what you're getting. If you're getting it from a reputable company, don't mean nothing. If you buy it from an individual, sure don't mean nothing. And I'm not saying every engine builder out there doesn't know what they're doing. That is not at all what I'm saying. There's good people out there and some people, well, not so good. They just want to make a dollar. But that's true in anything, you know. And so, but if anybody runs across Eco heads, if you got the early ones that are good, more power to you. If you got the ones that were later, which you probably don't have any way of knowing, then they're going to be porous and soft and they're going to give you problems. And if somebody says, hey, I got a set of heads I'll give to you, and they're EEPCO, EEPCO, be courteous and polite and say thank you very much and take them. And then wait in the middle of the night, drive by the house and throw them through their window. Is all I can tell you to do with them. I mean, that's my experience with them. Some people may run them and they may not have any trouble with them. I've read on different forums that people have ran them and they ran great. They might have got the early ones. I don't know. You just don't know nowadays. But these were out of the 80s. And this engine was built in the 80s. So, you know, I was told, oh, it ran great, just wasn't idle. Well, I got that problem figured out because, it was the cam. Figured out what kind of cam it was. And, oh, this thing won't idle. I was running a progressive. First of all, I wouldn't recommend a progressive. And the Venturi was way too small. It was a 26, 28, I don't remember. Anyway, small. It needs to breathe. It needs air. Got to have air. Things suffocate. That's why I won't idle. That's why you got to jack it up 1300 RPMs with this particular cam. Well, that's why some people, you don't have to if you get your carburation right, which is true with any cam you run, any setup you run. You got to get your carburation right. Because if you don't get your carburation right, the rest of it's just junk. I'm not an expert. This is just my opinion. This is my experiences. So, and I hope nobody ever runs into this. It may happen. I hope not. And I figured, it'd be easier if it's bearings, maybe get the case line board, get it checked out, maybe get it x-rayed, do all this other stuff, it'd be cheaper than buying a long block. And at least if I put it together, if it ain't right, I can be mad at me. And won't be the first time I've been mad at me, and probably won't be the last. So anyway, it's just my experiences. Just letting you know where I am. And it's a little disheartening, but it's like my mom used to say, it's always darkest before the dawn. It's like constipation. It'll pass. So, you know, it'll be okay. I'm gonna get this thing done, and I still want to try to get it done by the end of the year. I may get everything done but the car. But the engine car. I may get the car done, but not the engine. I'm gonna keep plugging along. I'm gonna try to get this. And it's nothing. It's just money, time, and patience. We're gonna get this done. So thank you for listening to me go on and on. Hope this was kind of humorous. Hope it was, because it is kind of humorous. Looking back on it, plus, a few hours ago, I had a value, which I have a prescription for. So, anyway, y'all have a good evening, and I hope you get a chuckle out of this. And remember, it takes a whole lot more energy to be ugly to somebody than it does to be kind. So, for heaven's sake, be kind.